welcome back everyone to Blender and Unreal Engine becoming a dungeon prop artist, and this is where we left it off. Now, I'm going to do all these together actually, so the first thing I'm going to do is just check my normals. So I'm going to come down to face orientation, check my normals, and they're all fine. So I'm going to turn that off. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to, well actually we can't actually do them all together. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab them all, and I'm going to see if I can shade smooth, and you can see there, yeah, actually I've shaded them all smooth, but can I actually do them all together? I can't actually do them all together, as you can see. So I just need to come down each one of them and just... So with the diamonds and things, I'm actually wondering if I should just be shading them flat. And I think actually probably going to be better off just shading them flat or turning up the auto smooth, whichever one you want to do. I think they're just going to shine more light if they're like that. So I'm actually going to go in, shade flat, and I think these are the only ones that we're actually going to do that with. So shade flat, like so. All right, so now with the goblet, I just want to make sure, same as maybe with this plate as well, that I just bevel off these edges just slightly because it's still a goblet. So let's come in, grab the edges. So Alt Shift and click, Control B, holding the Shift button to slow it down, and just bevel those off. Now I'll come in and also bevel these off. So Control B and bevel them off like so. Now what you could also do with one of the goblets is you could also make some rubies or something like that and bring it out. We could also do that on them. So I think actually we'll do that. It won't actually take long. So what we'll do is we'll press Shift D, we'll bring it over, and then what we'll do is we'll just think about bringing this down. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to press Alt Shift and click. So I'm going all the way around. Alt Shift and click, trying to go the other way. So Alt Shift and click, and then just pull it down a little bit without proportional editing on, like so. And then what we'll do is we'll grab every other one. So you can grab every other one by going Alt Shift click, select, check a deselect, and there we go. Now the thing is, I'm going to press I now and just bring them in like so, and you can see already where we're going with this. Now if you press E, enter, and then Alt and S, you should be able to bring them out like so. And then let's make them smaller. So now just make sure that individual origins is on, press the S button like so, and there we go. Now we need to do is just bevel those off a little bit. So Control B, bevel them off, and there we go, a goblet with actual rubies on it. Really, really nice. Now let's come in and actually think about, let's just go down. So let's reset all our transforms just before we actually unwrap them. So Control A, all transforms, right click, set origin to geometry. Let's come in and add in our textures now, and then what we'll do is we'll name them. So with this one here, let's go to our UV editing, and what we'll do is we've got our gold on here. I'm not going to worry about that because you don't really need to see that in here, but what I'm going to do on this one is of course bring in our silver. So we've got, let's have a look, silver basic. Let's bring in our silver. You can see already it's not looking too great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the whole thing. I'm going to press U and unwrap. It's not going to unwrap, as you can see, and the reason is because we've got no seam. So let's press U, Smart UV project, and let's have a look what that actually looks like. And yeah, that looks pretty nice. So I'm pretty happy with that. The one thing I'm thinking is I could make this a little bit more stylized for the actual plate by turning down my normal and also making it a little bit shiny, because at the moment it looks like the jug and there would be two different really materials. So let's actually change that. So what I'll do is I'm actually going to, as well, I know it's making it a little bit harder for us, but I think it's worth doing. So I'm just going to bring back all of these cubes and I'm going to grab my silver, which is this one here. I'm going to press Shift D just to duplicate and put it there. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy this. So I'm going to come to this little down arrow, copy material, and then what we're going to do is paste material. So now I'll minus this off, and then I'll click the down arrow. I'm going to click paste material, and you'll see that doesn't work. So I need to click new and then paste material. So paste material, and then what we'll do is we'll call this silver treasure, and then we've got two types of silver. Now let's come in, making sure I'm on my render, and then I'm just going to zoom into it, and I also want to be on shading panel, so I'll have to zoom into it again, and I'll also, there we go, zoom in, and then what I'll do now is I'll take down this normal map, so let's say 0.2, like so, and now you can see it's a lot more smoother. And then what I'll do is I'll bring in an RGB curves for my actual roughness. So you can see my roughness is already there. We've already got an RGB curve, so that's great. So now if I bring this down, so let's bring this down, you can see now that that's looking a lot more like silver, maybe a little bit too much. So let's bring it up a little bit, maybe up a little bit more. And there we go. Now that's looking much, much better because silver would actually look like that. All right, so I'm also thinking of, should I change the color of it as well? We could also change the color with a color ramp or something. Let's bring in another RGB curve. So I'm just going to press Shift D, drop that in there. Yeah, I'm thinking that'll probably make it, let's have a look if we bring this up. So I'll bring it up. Yeah, I'm probably going to make it just a little bit darker as well. Yeah, something like that. Double tap here. Yeah, I'm thinking that's looking much, much better. All right, so I'm happy with that. And now we've got silver treasure. I'm going to right click, mark as asset, come to my asset manager, try and keep up with all these, by the way, because if not, you're going to end up with a load where you don't know if they're in there or not. So we can see silver treasure. Let's put it in our materials, and then we're pretty much done. And all we need to do now, if I come to my materials, I spelled that wrong. Let's spell it right. I don't know why I did that. Let's also save it out. So save. And now let's drop on our silver. So silver treasure. Let's drop it on there. Not sure if that dropped on. There we go. What does that say? Only supported in object mode. Okay. So let's put it on material and see if that does it. Only supported in object mode. I don't know what that actually means. Oh, maybe I'm in edit mode. Yeah, I think I'm in actual edit mode. Yeah, there we go. Let's grab it like that. Let's go back to modeling. And let's come to our material and click the down arrow. We're looking for silver treasure. And there we go. All right, so that's looking much, much better now. It's really getting the light and things like that. Maybe it's a little bit too dark. So I'm going to have to go back to my shading panel. I'm just going to lower it down a little bit. I think it's a little bit, I think it needs to be just lighter. Yeah, that's, I think we should have gone the other way. All right, let's go back to modeling and have a look. Yeah, that looks better. All right, I'm happy with that now. Now let's come to our rubies then. So what I'll do is I'll come to this one. This one is the yellow one. So I'm going to go down and gemstone yellow. And there we go. That's looking pretty nice already. Let's come to the, this one is the white one. So the down arrow, and we're going to go to gemstone white, and then the down arrow, and this one will be the blue one. So gemstone blue. And now let's come to this here. So first of all, we'll grab all of these gems. And basically as well, don't forget, I didn't actually unwrap these. So I'm going to actually probably unwrap them all together. So let's just grab them. I think actually because of the color, not really got any, you know, any kind of real markings or anything. So I should just be able to go UV, smart UV unwrap. And there we go now. It looks like we've got many, many facets on those. And I think actually that's going to be fine. I don't think actually I need to do anything else with them. Let's put this up here. Have a look at this. It's looking a bit grainy, and I think just looking to see if my noise is still on. Yeah, actually they look pretty nice. All right, let's come to this one here, and what we'll do is we'll unwrap it first. So I'm going to grab A. I'm going to press U, Smart UV Project, click OK, and now let's first of all bring in our gemstone red. And then we'll click plus, and we're also going to bring in our silver, so silver treasure. Now the silver treasure wants to be, so L, grab it all, silver treasure, click assign, and there we go. Let's actually hide this floor out of the way. So I'm going to hide all of my materials like so. And there you go. Really, really cool. You can see it looks really nice there. Okay, so we've done that so far. Now let's come to our actual goblets. Now with the goblets, we are actually going to need to mark some seams on because we're using a trim sheet. So let's actually think about doing that now. So seams are going to be Alt, Shift and click. Let's see if we can get away with marking a seam here. Let's see if we can get away with also bringing it probably down to here because we're going to have one kind of thing going around here. So I'm going to right click, mark seam. And then we're also going to have one on the bottom of here. So I'm going to Alt, Shift and click and Alt, Shift, click. And you can see there. That's one of the other things, by the way. If you have, let's say, some triangles in here, you won't be able to grab it all along. So the best way to do it is just to grab an edge, Control click, Control click, Control click, And you just have to be careful that you just make sure that you don't go like I've just done there, past here. So you can see here, sometimes it doesn't always work, but it's still quicker with control clicks. I'm just control clicking all the way along just to get back to here. Right click, mark seam. All right, so there we go. Now we just need to make sure that we're marking our seams on the top now. So Alt Shift and click, Alt Shift click, and also on the bottom here. I'm going to mark it from here rather than trying to control click all around there. Right click, mark seams. Now what we should be able to do is near enough grab all this, but we do need to mark a seam going at the back. So you can see that I need to mark it going all the way down here. Now the places where I don't need to mark any seam is going to be in here, and it's going to be at the top. So I don't need to mark a seam there because this basically can unwrap pretty flat. This going round here is going to be an infinite loop, so I need to make sure that I mark a seam. And then I'm going down to the bottom. I don't actually need to mark a seam on here, as you can see, again, because it's flat. Right click, mark seam. And now what I can do is I should, let's see, the moment of truth. Let's go to editing. Let's press dot to zoom in, and let's press U and unwrap. All right. Now, can we, I don't think we're going to get away with these without our trim sheet, one being on here, and two, these being unwrapped so they're flat and not rounded like so. So let's have a look at that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually bring in my actual trim. So if I press trim, let's see if I've got one. So I've just got base color, which doesn't really help me. Let's have a look at this one and see if that's actual trim sheet. No, it's not. So let's click the down arrow. And I think, let's have a look. Is it this one? No. No. I'm looking for the gold trim sheet. Okay, so this is the trim sheet. It's base color PNG 006, and I should actually name these. So I think what I'll do is I'll go in, I'll make sure these are named for you. So just look for the one that's the gold trim sheet. And then what you can see is now we just need to apply this to our actual goblet. So if I click this down arrow, I'm looking for the gold, and I'm looking for the gold like so. And then I'm also going to press plus, down arrow, gold trim sheet. And then what I'm going to do now, I'm going to click on all the parts where I want the actual trim sheet to be. So if I grab this bit, for instance, if I grab this part, and if I grab the bottom, then what I can do is I can assign these to my trim sheet like so. You can see already what that's looking like. Now let's come around and unwrap these correctly, because at the moment we're going to have a lot of problems. So if I grab this one here, press the L button, and then what I'll do is I'll press U, like that pack, OK, U, follow active quads, click OK. And now you should be able to move it up. So G, press the S button now, like so, G again, S, and there we go. And now just squish it in. So S and Y, like so, and then G and Y, and move it up into place, and just hold the shift button. And there you go. You can see that looks perfect all the way around. And this is why we use trim sheets. So really, really nice. All right. So the next part then is I will grab this part here, and we'll use, I'm just thinking, should we use the whole thing on here? We could. I actually like the way it is there. So I think I'm not going to do that. So what I'm going to do now is though, I'm going to come to this one. I'm going to press L. I'm actually going to come to this part because it's near the actual seam. Then press L. And then what I'm going to press is U, and again, we'll do the same thing, not that way, we'll press U, like my pipe, okay, U, follow active quads, okay. All right, so we'll end it there, and on the next lesson, what we'll do then is we'll get this actually finished and then move on to the other goblet. And then by the end of that lesson, we should have all of these treasure parts actually finished. All right, everyone, so I hope you enjoyed that. See you in the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.